Congress just dropped a new Epstein bombshell on a Trump cabinet member, and President Taco is hiding in a closet, possibly with House Speaker Mike Tiny Johnson, who seems to like closets for some reason. Think about that one. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. With the government shut down over a budget impasse in the Congress, it might be easy for Tiny Johnson to delude himself into thinking he's dodged a bullet, at least where the Epstein scandal is concerned. The Republicans are shouldering the blame for the shutdown, at least where public opinion is concerned. Johnson has a secret reason to relish the shutdown. Her name is Adelita Grijalva. Take a look.
No surprise that Arizona is the talk right now in Washington, D.C. Adelita Grijalva is in D.C. She says she is ready to work, ready to add her name to the list of signatures to push for the Epstein files and also take any funding votes that might come up. But Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't seem to be in a rush to get her sworn in, telling Scripps News Group that he won't be swearing her in likely until when the House comes back next week for regular session. So why does this one vote matter? Why are we paying attention to this one vote out of Arizona? Well, that's because the House is right now one of the most divided houses between Democrats and Republicans that we have seen in decades. Grijalva makes the gap between Democrats and Republicans, the number of votes needed, that much smaller, that much thinner, so not much room for error when negotiating bills and budgets. Democratic leadership now stepping in to push Speaker Johnson to swear her in ASAP. Now, there is precedent here. Just earlier this month, another Democrat won a special election, and Johnson swore him in during one of these quote-unquote pro forma sessions.
Well, I was the 217th signature on the discharge petition to force a vote to release the Epstein files. I think it's quite obvious he knows she would be the 218th signature.
We've been talking about this looming government shutdown. Well, that representative said that Speaker Johnson most likely doesn't want the Epstein discussion coming up at the same time that they're having this bitter back and forth over the government shutdown next.
So yes, in summation, Johnson forestalled swearing in Grijalva until after Congress reconvenes. He actually adjourned it in the midst of a shutdown to avoid seating her, and thus giving the Epstein Files Transparency Act the final vote it needs to pass. Which begs another question. What is Mike Johnson afraid of in those files? Is he in them? Or more likely, was he, after first voicing his support for release of the files, pressured by Donald Trump to keep them hidden? If you're a regular viewer of our channel, and if you haven't subscribed, do so now to keep up to speed. If you watch our show, you will recall that in the past, I reminded you beautiful viewers that Johnson is an accidental speaker. He rose from the backbench as a sort of compromise candidate in the aftermath of the ouster of Kevin McCarthy, the biggest failure of a speaker in American history, and the man almost single-handedly responsible for resurrecting Donald Trump's political career following the January 6th insurrection. For more on all of that, see our other videos here on the channel. But in the midst of this government shutdown, Trump and Johnson just got another piece of bad news regarding the Epstein case. This morning, House Oversight Committee member Robert Garcia vowed to subpoena a certain Trump cabinet member who just suggested he knows more about the Epstein case than he's letting on. Take a look.
In a remarkable break with Trump and his Justice Department, suggesting that federal prosecutors struck a deal with Jeffrey Epstein only after Epstein handed over compromising videos of his rich and powerful friends.
What happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
Okay, look, we don't know if that's true. But here's the deal. Howard Lutnick is saying the quiet part out loud of what a lot of people think, because there are so many questions raised about the sweetheart deal that Epstein got that allow him to avoid federal charges and only serve 13 months in a Florida prison on 2 prostitution charges. So Lutnick says he's just speculating and he doesn't know and no one knows. But Everybody wonders what the heck happened with that deal. And out front now is Congressman Robert Garcia, the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, who has been trying to get the Epstein files. So, Congressman Garcia, when you hear Howard Lutnick say this, look, Trump has said, the administration made clear that anybody on the Republican side who wants more transparency on the Epstein files and is pushing for those Epstein files it's a hostile act to this administration. So Lutnick coming out and saying all of this is remarkable. And he didn't just say, oh, I want to know what happened. He laid out an entire theory about Epstein recording people getting massages and having sex with underage girls in the massage room and then using those tapes as blackmail. He laid all of that out. What do you think when you hear that? Do you think there's any truth to it?
Well, first, those were some incredible comments, and I think that it just reinforces why it's so important that we get the full files released by the DOJ and the Trump administration. And quite frankly, after those comments by Mr. Lutnick, we need to speak to him. The entire Oversight Committee, we're very interested in understanding what exactly he knows, where those theories come from. And anyone, particularly if you're in the Trump administration and you are saying those comments so freely, you have to have additional information. So you can believe that we're going to follow up. It is outrageous that we've had a subpoena for all these documents and there's no release of the documents. We've got very little information.
Howard Lutnick just did something really stupid by trying to promote his profile as a significant figure in the Epstein scandal. He may have thought he was making himself look important, but instead he just landed himself in the hot seat before Congress. And regardless of if the Epstein Files Transparency Act passes, you'd better believe that the Oversight Committee will want Lutnick for questioning. And even if somehow that doesn't work, with all the issues surrounding tariffs and layoffs and rising unemployment numbers, Congress will have to call Lutnick to testify at some point. And when that happens, Democrats will have an opportunity to prod him on the Epstein question, which, if nothing else, will again bring attention to the undying scandal. And Taco and Tiny can try to obfuscate, but they can't dodge forever. What did the president do, and when did he do it? It's time we all knew. This is Occupy Democrats.